You've got to take life as it comes. You know what I mean? Take life by the horns, as they say. Whatever the hell that means. I wouldn't grab a bull by the horns. Shit, I'd run and hide, climb a tree. I mean, isn't that what human intelligence is all about? Anyhow, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Hi, friends. Welcome to Bad Advice from a Guy in His Backyard. Formerly known as Bad Advice from a Guy in a Bus. Honestly, I think I only made one episode about 2 years ago. And I decided it was time to continue this. So I'm going to say this is episode 2. And I'll have to dig out the original one and find a playlist for it. But I had this idea of making a Bad Advice series, if you will. And honestly, and obviously, I don't mean to give bad advice. What I meant by that was it's my way of making light of the bullshit guru epidemic that we have going on, where people think that if they're soft-spoken and they say namaste and they tell you what you want to hear, and it's not just spirituality, it's religion, everything else, everyone's out there telling you what you want to hear. It's one of the hardest things for me is when I tell people things that none of us want to hear, and we can sit and talk about it, some of us, but a lot of people are turned away and bothered by these things, and they have emotional responses to certain topics, and this is what I'm going to talk about for my advice, I guess, if you will, because I feel like I do have advice to share, but it's kind of arrogant to put out a series where you say that I'm going to tell you how to live your life, because it's nonsense. Everybody is unique. These things won't work for everyone. But what works for me is not going to work for everyone. But there are certain facets of life that I try to pull out of the woodwork, things that I believe that we all share. One of these is emotional intelligence. Oh, we've got a hummingbird over here. I don't know if you can see him. Hey, friend. Oh, hi. Hello. What are you doing? He came and visited me a couple hours ago, too. Hi, how are you, friend? Boy, you really get close, don't you? Huh? Whoa. Hey. Huh. Beautiful. I just love nature. It was the perfect part of the discussion for him to come into this discussion. Nature to me is amazing. It can make me cry. It can make me laugh. It's just, I don't know. There's something amazing about a little bird like that. Anyway, and my dog runs in the house, and then I have to go back and start this all over again. But that's okay. That's what it's all about. Hopefully the camera is somewhat focused here. At any rate, how much does it matter? Not a lot. I'm going to try to make my point as quickly as possible. And even though some of these topics you can't really cover quickly. So I got distracted by the bird. Such an awesome bird. Just right there chilling. Earlier he came up and he flew about 6 inches, well, okay, about a foot, 12 inches. See, you always overestimate. But being fair, it was about a foot from my face, and he just hovered there for like 10 seconds. Okay, maybe it was 5 seconds. Then he moved over and hovered there for another 5 seconds, and it was just a total of at least 20 seconds that he was like buzzing around my head looking at me. Really amazing thing. And I have a strong emotional bond with nature, as I would assume everyone does, but my assumptions could be incorrect because... Alright, Lucy wants out again. But then, girl, there what it was. I'm going along with this as if everything that happens is meant to happen. She frustrated me. Hi, Lucy. Oh. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get mad at you. I'm so sorry. Hello. She's like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? You talking about me? All right. I love my dog. That was great. I went from being angry to being, totally happy. And that was what I was going to talk about. That it's okay to let your emotions flow. It's okay to be angry. And there's part of this spiritual community that really has this idea that you need to use this love and light bullshit, that everything's about letting things go and just never getting angry at anyone for any reason. And I tried to follow and subscribe to that reasoning for a while. Driving in my car, putting out good to the universe, and believing in karma, believing in this, what you put out you get back, and that and that I still believe to an extent, but I do not believe that if you're just peaceful and passive all the time, that you're going to be a happier person. So today's discussion really deals with letting your emotions flow, not letting them overwhelm you. I know people who, when they get angry in it, whether it's something that they see on TV or online, or if it's something that they have a discussion with a friend or a family member, they'll carry that shit like baggage for days, if not weeks or months, even years. People stop talking over one discussion. You know what I mean? It's really sad, and I find in the past I've had some of these misconceptions with people, misunderstandings, and the same things happen. But what's important, and the point here, is to let your anger, your frustration flow and be honest with it. Because even if you're wrong and in the wrong, eventually you'll figure that out, because people will let you know, whoa, hey, you were angry, but this is what I intended. And intention is everything. If possession is 9/10 of the law, then, intention is 9/10 of spirit, of existence, of happiness. Intention, as far as holding a person responsible for their feelings or their emotions or what they do, intention really is everything. And I think that as long as we have good intention, then we can overcome some of these follies and failures that we have of getting frustrated. People who have anger problems, aggression issues, who have to go to anger management, things like that. I've never considered myself to have an anger problem, but I've known people who have, and who punch holes in walls or get really angry. But kind of a lot of the times deep down inside they're really fucking teddy bears and sweet people. It's just that they're frustrated, not even angry at individual people, or not even lash out at individual people. But just because they punch the wall, they're considered a violent person. It's something that comes from our inner angst, I guess. Fortunately, I'm not one of those people. I haven't broke my knuckles by punching anything. If I have an angry moment, I just shake it off and get it over with, You can't sit there and obsess over it. You can't sit there and dwell on that anger. Do not sit and hold this shit in. It's not worth it. Trust me on that. If there's any advice I can give, it's don't hold resentment. It's pointless. It does nothing. It doesn't matter what types of books whether you're religious, spiritual, atheist, as far as beliefs, or whether you're left or right politically. There are certain things that we all have to deal with, and one of those is letting shit go, not hanging on to bullshit. All of us as individuals have to face this in our individual lives, with our family, our friends, deciding who we want to interact with, who we want to just completely ignore. It's tough. Being human, nobody said it was going to be easy. And that is a whole nother story about nihilism and antinatalism and people's just frustration with being alive. And I'm not going into that one. It's just, I feel like I have to talk about that in a future video. But for today, I guess my message is positive. It's not about anger. It's not about frustration. It's about being in touch with who you are and your feelings, being able to acknowledge that, recognize it, and share that with the world without feeling like you have to protect that part of yourself. The more you share with the world, whether you're happy, ecstatic, angry, sad, sadness is a tough one. I've had people heard people say that they never get sad, or that's very rare, but there are certain people who claim that they never get angry as well. It's kind of this sect of the spiritual community where they don't want to admit that they get frustrated. And I even heard somebody I love tell me that they didn't get offended, that they'd never been offended in their entire life. I thought about that, and I've been thinking about that for 6 months now. Like, okay, a person claims that they've never been offended, and then reiterates that with, I've literally never been offended in my life. And I thought, what does it take for a person to convince themselves that they've never been offended? Perhaps it's an alteration of the definition of what offensive means or offended means. But it's often a projection. You find that when you say certain things to people, they react in a certain way that's direct opposite of what they're claiming, I guess. And that's okay too, because not everybody has a grasp on their emotions. Not everybody can say, I am sad, or I'm angry, or what you said bothered me or offended me, or the things that I see in society bother me, but I'm not taking a side. And this is maybe the final note I should make, because this is kind of off the cuff. But when it comes to political bullshit, a lot of people feel like they have to fall in line with what other people believe in their own political belief system, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. I personally am an independent, but I lean left naturally. But I'm just like, I just cringe when I see people who just believe that they shouldn't say this, or they shouldn't do this, or they shouldn't get frustrated, or whatever it might be, because people in their political group say that's the way you should be. And I think of it as kind of like a religion, where you're not supposed to be angry, you're not supposed to do this or do that. I don't know. Thoughts are more than welcome. I guess it's already been a long video. I tend to make these ones kind of longer than they should be. And I'll leave the rest for you all to share your thoughts on it. Consider this bad advice from a guy in his backyard pertaining to being able to be in touch with our emotions, recognizing when we're angry, when we're upset, when we're happy, and just letting it be. Emotional intelligence, working on these things. There's a certain amount of conscious bias we have to alter our reactions to things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's okay to just get pissed off at people. The whole thing is to be able to control that and not care, and be able to just shake your head and laugh when people say stupid shit, because it's not going to affect you. But that's for a future topic. So that's what I got for today. Thanks for listening. Appreciate all of you. Thank you to all my patrons. Thank you to my new patron I have today. I can't remember the name, but if I had an editing program, I'd list all the patrons at the end. Maybe I'll do that anyway today. I think it's probably worth it just to say thank you, because I really appreciate people's giving a shit. And if you become a patron, you get access to video versions of my podcasts that I put out, 15-minute free thinking, and a few extras that I'm not going to go into here that I can't share on YouTube, but I can share on Patreon. So even $1 a month, you can get access to all that shit. And other than that, what else do I have to say to people? I don't know. I just got done remodeling a wheelchair and turning it into a little cart for camping. That's one thing. Look at that. Pretty cool, huh? And that's about it. So I'm out. Thanks for listening. Ooh, it's bright, but it's beautiful. And I'll talk to y'all next time. Pretty soon it's going to be time to harvest those raspberries over there. And when I do, I'll be sure and share it. Peace and love, my friends. And rainbows and unicorns and hellfire and torture, too. Peace out.